the robo waiting for it to be arrived. So this more my psychological, I'm just thinking aloud. I started doing knees in 1995. So all sort of knees I have done in various this thing. So with that ado, so the alignment and the balance, I thought I had to educate the gathering, but already Arun has done it beautifully. So what we are talking about is static alignment on the table, okay? But what we are doing is running around, all around, okay? The functional thing is very, 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 very variable, okay? The wear and tear depends on that. This is from my own iPhone, okay? The double support is variable so much within a week. The walking step length varies within a week. My heel strike varies so much. And my walking steadiness, okay, this is not Saturday evening, it's a regular weekday morning, okay. So that I have not measured that, okay. And walking asymmetry, okay. So nobody walks the same. Nobody's gait is there similar to the other one. There are so many factors we know, so many factors we don't know, okay. And the neck shaft angle, okay, definitely it has got a big biomechanical impact with your alignment and balancing. And we are doing a study on this, and the 125 to 137, and the distribution is so much, not a bell curve, it's almost like a Pusnikai. Okay, so so much is the variable, okay. And so many variables you can actually go on listing it, alignment, so many other things, pelvis, BMI, fat, lumbar lordosis, your hind foot alignments, so many things you can just go on. Okay, so the gap balancing is different from alignment. That's the first part of my talk, which has been already nicely described by Radhakrishnan. Okay, the asymmetrical loading is a routine. Okay, we are not having a perfect three-dimensional which moves on in the fourth dimension. But when we move, it becomes a fourth dimension. It's impossible to create a weight-bearing human body to have a symmetrical loading on the right and left four condyles. Okay, when it becomes edge loading, then it is severe. Okay, whether you have a BMW or your basic cars, all four tires don't equally touch the ground all the time together, because even ground is not balanced and the loading is not balanced, front loading, back loading. The same thing happens with our human body as well. So this is the gap balancing thing we have been talking about. It's a very simple, stupid idiot's method, we can say that. We don't need to really think a lot when you use the buccal papas gap balancing method. And when the navigation, I went through the training in Melbourne Royal College, and Professor Chung, who is no more, we were discussing, is it going to stay? Is it going to stay? We have already ordered it. I was in Cambridge at the time. And he said navigation would be useful if it can help me in balancing. At that time, nobody was talking about alignment. This was about only 15 years ago, okay? So it was all about balancing. At that time, we are talking about proximal tibia and the distal femur, okay? So the alignment is relatively new concept. I'm not saying it's totally was not there. Certainly, we talk about alignment more after the navigation and this thing. Before that, balancing, navigation, we are all talking about what we, on the table between the distal femur to proximal tibia. Now it has become a HKA angle. Okay, the understanding is more, the discussion is more in this decade. That's after navigation. Okay, it's not robotic, it's a navigation. Okay, robotic is going to do what we are planning in the navigation. Okay, so this is a very famous slide. Okay, so Insol has been talking about balance. So I am just trying to justify why I say alignment was not much talk of the industry for a very long time, 3 or 4 decades. So the gap balancing is a well-balanced knee, I can say, on the table, or it's okay, balanced, you can manage low demand knee, I can do with that. No, it's poorly balanced, I had to do something about it. I have to release the tight, put a bigger poly, whether you do with the measure resection method or with the balancing method. Whereas alignment, I'm not sure at the end of the surgery, okay? So that is what the gap in which the robotic is trying to come in, navigation is trying to come in and fill it in. But two things, is it really filling it? And is there a target to achieve? In balancing, there is a target to achieve. 1 millimeter I can have, after 70 I can have a more lateral laxity, 1 or 2 millimeter more than medial. That's how the pivot and other agreements come in. But is there a target for alignment? Okay, so still we don't know. So both are very crucial steps to achieve. We have to achieve it. But how critical? When you say critical, if you fall, it will fail. That's what you mean by a criticality. So I feel balancing is more critical than alignment. Okay, so this is just a study we have started because we got the new software with the hip, knee, angle, the standing views. So at present, the last couple of years, we are doing buccal purpose, mobile bearing, gap balancing, conventional. So in the last, we have just started doing pre and post-op routinely for all scanograms, and a single surgeon, single center, and the same system. A few cases we did other joints, we have not included it. So it's a consecutive series. It's an ongoing study for the next TNO I am preparing. I'm just giving you a little teaser on what we are going through. So the pre and post-op, okay. So we have done about, so far for 3 months follow-up, we have 120 cases, okay. What I want you to follow is, I have categorized into 4 categories: less than 10 degrees, preoperative deformity, 10 to 20, 20, 30, 30 plus, okay. So this is the post-op HKA. I'm fairly senior surgeon. I've done thousands of knees over a lot of time, so I agree. You have to agree that this is what you can get maximum with the conventional system: 3 degrees, 6 degrees, 6 degrees, and back to 7 degrees. So more the preoperative deformity, okay. That is, we don't know whether it's from femoral bowing, or varus bowing, or the bone loss, or whatever. It's a total HKA we are talking about. Okay, that's what matters for an alignment when you come to the long-term survival. Okay, this 20% is going to be addressed by that. No, I don't buy that argument. The 20% they're not happy. You have to find out why they are not happy. The commonest reason my patients are not happy is diabetic peripheral neuritis and back pain. Okay, that's one. Half of my unsatisfied post TKRs are because of that. That's not going to change with my costly robo. Okay, this is what our study is. I cannot at present very early, but this is what I am getting with my system in my hands, in our system, fairly consistently. Okay, so this is the age related. So again, because more deformity, less correction, more correction, but less residual. HKA will not be less than 2 degrees, 3 degrees. So this is the other things we are following it up. 5-year plus, okay, we do not have a pre-op, but to see who are the real outliers. These patients do not have an aseptic loosening, radiographic loosening. They do not have a localized knee symptoms. Okay, they came for back pain, or they came as an attender, or they came as my routine follow-up, or some of them we called. Okay, you cannot call anecdotal, but it's not a organized series. So the average HKA post-op, 5 years plus, various joints, various surgeons, majority is my work, but definitely we have few from other surgeons also. 8.5% degree is the present HKA in this alignment, and our radiographer is fairly well trained, and if something is not fibula is too much overlapping, we take them again, or we don't even include in the study. So at present, in an ongoing thing, it's 8 degrees is the one happy after 5 years. So it's not a very critical. So balancing is well-defined, simple, and reproducible. I can understand that, I can teach that, I can do that, and you don't need a real robotic, because when you do this balancing and checking your robotic screen, 3 and 4, okay, I go this 2 steps backwards and do it, the numbers differ. Okay, so I can get a 3 and 3. Okay, is that knee is going to with that sort of alignment for the rest of the life? I leave it to your dream. Okay, so balancing is again variable, because depending upon the amount of where you hold your thing, amount of varus valgus stress when you are giving, when I am doing a robotic surgery. So that's also variable. Whereas I have been doing it for 30 years, I've been well trained in high volume centers, so I get the feel of it. I see how much it opens. Pretty much the same. I don't feel much of a difference. So balancing I can do without robo. Okay. Whereas alignment, we really don't know where is my target. What is the target? Where is the target? How variable is the target with the time it goes? Okay, you do in a 64-year-old, and then he become obese, or a stiff lumbar spine, opposite knee, hip, ankle. So many variables go on. Okay, so can we reproduce that method reliably in every time for an alignment? You have to start from, not from hip center, you have to start from lumbar spine. Okay, this center of gravity lies in front of your S2. So there are so many variables are there. So I feel there is no bullseye for the alignment yet. For a particular patient, we are trying to work on it, but overall it is not. That's why 13 alignments have been still described. Still we are talking, discussing over it. Okay. So this is my understanding. I do not have a big scientific data to deal with. The alignment achieved on the table is one static step. I don't expect that knee to follow that alignment for the rest of that patient's life. When the person walks, so many other things happens. Mechanical alignment is the gold standard going on for this thing. So the other alignments, the new thing has come. It's like you are buying a Ferrari. You think you can drive in Salem? Do you think I can take it to work? Selvaraj, Karthik, can you drive in your this thing? Okay, well, your Porsche and Ferrari can go, you can use only a limited way. And you can come to residency, you can come. You can't take it to the work. So like that, more than 10-degree deformity, in my hands, I don't need anything else. My conventional instrument is good enough for me. I'm talking about myself. So the message, what you take, it's entirely up to you. Okay. So balancing seems to be the crucial and critical step in the long-term knee survival. I don't believe this 20-degree can be solved by the light tweak in the alignment on that particular day, on that particular knee, under anesthesia. So let us concentrate on balancing, alignments, restorations, wound healing, range of movement, post-op pain relief, quicker relief, preoperative counseling, trying to do a bit early. In a good case, go for a bilateral in single stage, get them quickly on the table. Let for the less than 20 near normal knees who does in a high volume places, they can give us some information how to go about it. Till that time, most of the knees, we should be happy with your conventional. I'm buying a robo, okay, but see, I'm not able to sleep till I find many of these robotic centers, so they put a price. Okay, 70,000 okay. The initial enthusiastic surgeons, they try to do everything, and then many centers, they don't want to increase the robotic center, except a few who does only by robotic. In Germany, how many people are doing only by robotic? Less than 1% surgeons, okay. So, so let's put the things into perspective. As I said, it's not a conclusion, it's just my understanding of the observation. So I leave it to your message to take home. Thank you. But I am waiting.